So thank you for joining us today. My guest, I'm not sure quite what you see in the studio because we're quite remote, is Oliver Richards. Morning, Oliver.
Good morning.
Oliver is the founding partner of ORMS, somebody that's been a true friend to me over the last, I suppose, 10 or 15 years. We are currently working on I think it's our third collaborative project together, isn't it, Oliver? Possibly more, but at least three.
Possibly more, and I happen to work with your wife on another project.
Oh, yes. That's my link. Yeah. That is my link to Oliver. The first question I had for you was whether you think country living or city living is better.
Well, in the short term, I think that, and of course, most of our comments today are going to relate to COVID in one way or another, because it's been a big change for our lives. In the short term, country living is undoubtedly the winner. And for me this spring, it's been fantastic because we have been out of London, living in the countryside, and I've really noticed the spring in a way that I haven't before. So that's the short term. But I think in the long term, cities are fundamental to the way that we live. And it's no accident that a huge number of people have been moving into cities across the world. It's not just inside the UK. And so, there's a desirability there because it changes people's lives. Cities are the places that inventions happen, that progress is made. The country cannot do that. And so I sincerely hope and believe that the cities will fight back and will become a thoroughly desirable place to be. It may take some time to do that, but it's really, really important that they do. For me, I enjoy the life of the city, the energy of the city, the vibrancy of it, and I enjoy the country in contrast to that. And I'm lucky enough to have a house in both places, so I am both a city dweller and a country dweller.
Okay. So moving on from there, what are you going to be looking forward to when, it's hard to know when COVID is going to be allowing us to get back to normal life. What have you missed about this what's now over 100 days of being in lockdown?
Well, I think that's very simple, actually. I've missed theatre and opera and the vibrancy of the city. So I miss that greatly, and I hope that we can get it back soon. But theatre and music are very vulnerable because, in a way, they're cottage industries. They're not overfunded, so they're short of cash, and they have immense talent, and they change our cities. And I sincerely hope that we can get that back as absolutely soon as we possibly can. Because culture is what makes cities great. Culture is what makes London great, whether it's architecture, which is not really threatened by COVID, or the active arts that really are threatened by it.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you there. Bringing the question round then maybe to more related to what we do for a living in terms of architecture and design. A lot of talk at the moment about how office design might change in the future. I guess it's a kind of trick question because who knows? But what's your current take on what you're thinking about, either personally or as a practice, when you have clients asking you to design their next office?
I think it's going to depend on who uses the buildings. I think there are different categories of offices. There are creative offices like the one that we run. There are ones where the interaction of people is absolutely essential and produces an added value. I believe that offices where people come together, it's all about people and the interaction of people, and they do need to change. Offices will need to change. I think there will be a reduction in demand for offices, and I think that old the less good offices that are more easily transferable into a different use will indeed be repurposed. The best buildings are always the more flexible, the most flexible ones, the ones that have appeal. They are lovable, they have good daylight, they're not mean in spirit or in physical presence. And those will either be used for their original purpose, or they will get repurposed into a new form of life. For me, I'm not interested in electrical doors that open. That will happen. Taps that turn on when you bring your hands close to the sensor or whatever. All of those things, yes, that will happen. But in order to get the most out of offices, you need to be able to sit side by side with people. And so while the virus is raging, or potentially raging, I think it's a bit of a problem. Because offices are real. What they give that you can't have on a Zoom call is a proper sharing. I know you, Martin. I can have, because I know you, I can borrow on that experience. I know how you feel. But if I don't know you and you're on a call, how do I decide whether I actually like you or not? I think on a Zoom call, it's really difficult to do. And that matters. We are people of trust. We enjoy that. We enjoy the interaction with people, and we make body language assessments of people. You can't do that on Zoom. You have to do it face to face. But for the time being, the office world is on hold, I think.
Okay, well that's fascinating. I don't disagree with the word you've said. I think you're spot on with some of that analysis. It'd be interesting to have this conversation again in a year's time, wouldn't it? And see which buildings we're designing or how we're changing in our design.
I hope that out of COVID, people will be the winner, and I hope that it will make us find a better solution to our world, our environment, and how we use it. And that's
good.
That's important.
I think that's a very strong message to end on. So at that point, I'm going to say thank you very much, Oliver. I'm going to stop the recording button and appreciate your time, and thank you very much.